I would have recurrent urinary tract infection. They will give me antibiotics. I had to go through renal ultrasound. Now these were isolated events so far, because I even asked them to send me to an ENT doctor, and they did sleep apnea test and this test and that test, and basically, okay. So you can see where I am. This is why I say it is a coincidence or confluence that here two of my dear ones are suffering, and I am an analytical person, and internet is just kind of, is a great resource. And you know how I came to the word candida word? My daughter, she had oral thrush.
She had what?
Oral thrush.
Oh, yeah.
Because of antibiotic. So the dentist wrote to the pediatrician. She has still had a pediatrician. She has migrated to this primary doctor or so. Wrote to the pediatrician saying that she has oral thrush due to antibiotic. Now, in modern medicine, oral thrush is known as a form of candida. In modern medicine, when immune systems are compromised, like in AIDS or due to chemotherapy, then that is recognized as candida, because they can see that the blood is infected with fungus. But in between, they don't have any test. Okay? So my whole purpose is, and what I'll do is I'll give you this reading resource material, so that you can also, if you want to write on it, but this is a partial list of reading resource. And that's where I was. I was reading about these two things, and I said to myself, I'm not a doctor. I have never gone into this. I was very uneasy. And then I used to go to China, and suddenly occurred to me that why don't I see a Chinese doctor? There are 1.2 billion people on the planet. They live, Ayurveda, I didn't think at that time, which is, but I was going to China, and this friend of mine, Nick Tan, he advised to me that, why don't you see a Chinese doctor? The thing was, I went to China, they gave me some medicine, but I couldn't speak Chinese, and I was not able to but I made that first step. So then this friend of mine, he said, there are doctors here, Nick Tan. And thanks to him, so I found a doctor by the name of Dr. Asano. He does Asano acupuncture. He's a Japanese, married to a French, practices, of course, acupuncture. But guess what? He studied Ayurveda in India for 3 years.
I'm sorry, studied what?
Ayurveda.
Oh.
Now, Ayurveda is a form of Indian holistic medicine.
How do you spell that, if you don't mind, or you can close to it?
Sure,
I don't know.
I can now that I'm
Is it
a
also
teacher,
yoga?
so I can do this very well. Ayurveda.
Oh.
And this word is, why this is, probably this word. Veda.
Yeah.
Indian scriptures are called Veda.
Oh.
And Yayur means longevity. So this is basically the science of longevity. Veda is about knowledge. That's what Ayurveda is. So anyway, I haven't come to Ayurveda yet, right? So I get to this doctor. I will, he's a naturopath. And he tells me, first I call him on the phone. I said, I'm having excessive mucus, I'm miserable. He says, in his own words, I have good news for you. I drive to his place, and he gives me a few Chinese medicine, etc. I said, you'll be all right. And he tells me that I have a form of candida. He tells me. I asked him, because I had read a lot about candida, but he said, I have a form of candida. And then I saw him a few more times, and we are good friends. Now, I saw him at least 3, 4, 5, no more than that, half a dozen times. He did some acupuncture, etc. But in the process of our dialogue, and this is why I'm saying patients have to take charge, because it's not the MD's fault either, because the expectation is that there's a quick fix. And as you'll find in this case, it was not a quick fix. I'm here 4 years later, and I'll still tell you where I am. So, I realized that even though it is relatively inexpensive, let us say, compared to modern medicine, I shouldn't say inexpensive, relatively less expensive. My visits were $35 with a medicine every 2 weeks, but it adds up if it's a chronic disease. Now that's my economics thing, and I was of course reading, and of course I respect him very much, and I thank him and all that. He told me that in Ayurveda, there is a plant called neem plant, N-E-E-M. And you can again go to the web and look at neemfoundation.org. Neem is a plant similar to eucalyptus. It's an Indian plant. Grows in. So if you go to neemfoundation.org, you can see a lot of qualities of this plant. It's a medicinal plant like eucalyptus. You know that eucalyptus is in Vicks?
Yeah.
Okay? And so this is another form of it, you know. Antifungal, antibacterial, antiparasitic, all that great news. So anyway, he told me that neem is a good antifungal thing. And then I started to do research in Ayurveda. And basically, I migrated from Chinese medicine to Ayurveda. And basically, going back to my things that I had learned through my mother and grandmother, etc. So the treatment was simple, or is simple, but it is prolonged. It only requires 10 cents a day kind of thing, okay? So, but again, I'm not talking about prescriptive thing here, because I'm not a doctor, but I'm definitely sharing you what I did. Now, in Ayurveda and in Chinese medicine and in all other forms of holistic medicine, what they say is that if your digestive tract is clean, and if your upper respiratory tract is clean,